The Final Frontier podcast. These are the voyages of Jake Boger and Justin Spur. Our weekly mission, to explore memories of Star Trek's strange new worlds, to recall the search for new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no one has had the spare time to go before. Welcome everybody to the Final Frontier, and I'd like to take a moment to first apologize and then make an announcement. First of all, I do apologize with the delay in episodes being released. To make a long story short, new job, wholly unprepared for the life change, so I've been struggling to get them out. So I kind of sort of just threw my hands up and said I'll get them out as soon as I can. I know that's frustrating.
Get them done.
Yeah, because as I said, probably never should have started doing this podcast because I'm like, yeah, I can edit that. These episodes take a long time to edit, like much longer than I initially thought. Because initially I didn't think we'd be using clips or anything, and it became very apparent that just two nerds talking about Star Trek for an hour is, surprise, surprise, kind of boring.
A little bit, yeah. A little bit.
Even though our jokes are on point, but they're usually referential, so you kind of need the... But anyway. But this, as in this right here, is Star Trek Season 2, Episode 29, Assignment, Earth. And, oh boy, I have thoughts.
I have a great many thoughts. There's going to be a common thread of a thought.
Oh, I'm wondering, because we'll get there, but this episode takes place, well, we don't know when it takes place as far as star dates go because one is never given, and technically it can't be because this entire in-universe show date is the year 1968.
Does it take place in the year 1968?
Every single second of it.
Really?
Yep.
Interesting.
We don't even start out in the future and go back to the past, but the original air date for this episode is March 29th, 1968, and it was written by Art Wallace, but based on a story written by Gene Roddenberry and Art Wallace. More, put a pin in that. We're going to revisit that a few times.
Oh, things are clicking together.
Oh, yeah.
Making sense.
Yeah. And this episode was directed by our friend Mark with a C, Daniels, because the C makes it fancy.
It does. It does make it fancy. But it's not Mark with a K. That would
Mark with a K is just normal. That's just Mark.
That's just Mark. It's not Mark with a C is special.
So you add a few more letters with Mark with a C and you get something like Marcel or Marcus.
Oh. Or I just watched Pulp Fiction. I was just gonna say Marcellus Wallace.
Yeah, it's you or Marcellus Daniels. We don't know.
You don't know. It could be. And
sort of the common thread line that I'll hint at, because I'm honestly curious, I want to know in the comments, when did you catch this thing? So there's a very interesting fact about this episode that becomes more apparent as you continue to watch the episode. But I'm saving it till the end because, like I said, I'm curious about how many people picked up on this vibe when they were watching the episode, especially if you were watching it for the first time. Because I think there are some people out there that may have watched this when it aired that still don't know. Because I had my suspicions, but then I looked it up and confirmed it because I was like, I think this thing is the thing I think it is, but I'm not sure. But I'm pretty sure it is. And turns out I was right.
I feel like I know the thing you're hinting at, but I don't want to guess it yet. I want to drop guesses at it. I think we might be on the same wavelength there, but I'm also not 100% sure.
We probably are. But Justin, would you like to grace us with the Paramount Plus description brought to you by Paramount Plus?
Absolutely. If this is the season finale, I ultimately ask the question: How high will the stakes be? Will someone die? No. And then the next note is just what 1960s event could he be sent back in time to prevent? And why is it likely the Kennedy assassination or the Martin Luther King assassination or the Cuban Missile Crisis? Did any of these things happen in the 60s? I cannot be bothered to Google it.
They all happened in the 60s, but two of them, hang on. Two
Testing
of
your
them
history.
two of them happened in 63, I believe, and then the other one happened in 1968.
Well, okay.
I'll let you guys watching decide which is which.
I have a feeling one of those was the Kennedy assassination
No,
based on dialogue in the.
that happened in 63.
Oh, okay, then I don't know. Then
They made a Stephen King wrote a book and they made a miniseries about it. And it's in the title 11/22/63.
I'm going to tell you something that's going to seem crazy. You go through there, it's 1960. I need you to prevent the assassination of John F. Kennedy.
Which I'm
Ah,
rewatching with the wife. It is still stellar.
see, I watched two Stephen King things and they weren't good, so I watched a lot of
Yeah,
bad Stephen King.
Stephen King's a mixed bag for me because sometimes he's really good in spite of himself. And there, as much as I love the show 11/22/63, there's elements of it like Stephen King's a weird dude. Like
He's so weird. It's just oh
he's a
man.
pervert. I'm just gonna say it. He's a pervert.
Have you ever heard of the library policeman? I'm not going to encourage anyone to Google it because it's really upsetting. But
No.
what happens in that story? Like I'll put it to you this way:
Ew.
only a person who had done that or had had that happen to them would be able to describe such activity with such visual and disgusting accuracy.
Yeah, Stephen King's a pervert.
But
I
also, I
mean, it's
watched
just
Christine.
well, again, Stephen King's a weird guy.
I mean, give him the old. I know this is a PG show. I can't
I
say.
literally know I saw the clip literally today about like that just seems like overkill to do to someone's car. I'm just gonna
I'm
say
just
it.
putting it out. I'm just putting it out there. I'm
Well, and
just putting it out
then
there.
of course there's the people who are it fans but have never actually read the book, and you can tell because
Oh,
you bring up that one part, and they're like, "Huh?" And I'm like, "Ah, I knew you didn't read it."
yeah, you didn't read the book. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. Jordan watched it for the show, and he was like, he was like, I don't understand why that's in there. And I'm like, well, because cocaine's a hell of a drug, Jordan.
No, he's just a pervert.
I mean, he's a
Which
pervert,
I mean,
and he
hey,
did an absurd amount of cocaine in the 80s.
I mean, yeah, but I feel like for someone who morally, how would you say that, morally grandizes so much on social media, you should go read your own books, man.
Yeah, right. Hey, man, get your own house in order.
I mean,
Um,
to be fair, it is as far as I'm aware, it's always presented in a negative light. So,
not the it one.
oh yeah, I say that.
Uh,
Yeah.
but
Okay, never
also
mind. I crow eaten. All right.
uh, but also I really liked Maximum Overdrive. If you've never seen
That's
Maximum Overdrive, that movie's delightful. So
that's
like,
another. That's a movie that's good in spite of itself, though. I shouldn't say
absolutely.
good. It's enjoyable in spite of itself.
Out of the way, you happy asshole!
Because it's
Oh
not
man,
good,
he
but
was he was on so many substances when he made that movie. Oh,
I
it's
mean that
great.
is a terrifying idea, though.
I mean, like that not to get into this got to a Stephen King rabbit hole, but like you could remake that today, and it honestly would. And
It'd
if you
be
made it
even
like
more terrifying.
yeah, if you made it like absurdly violent, like there's moments in there in that movie which are like, if you did this today and you made it like absurdly violent, yeah, it actually is kind of theoretically scary. It's just that version of it diverges into areas where it's silly, but like
Well, I mean, it's a Green Goblin semi truck.
it's a Green Goblin. Apparently, for first appearance of the Green Goblin on film, by the way, the movie. Anyway, Star Trek.
So our story begins with the Enterprise, which has traveled through time to the year 1968 to Earth for historical research. So it just happens. The
I
episode
was just gonna
literally starts with them orbiting Earth, and it's just like, hey, we did this thing that we're apparently not supposed to do, but now we can do it whenever we want. It's just a thing we can do.
I was gonna say your outline left out the word inexplicable. They're inexplicably somehow
Well,
back in
no,
time.
see, that's the thing. Kirk explains it outright.
Using the light speed breakaway factor, the Enterprise has moved back through time to the 20th century.
So this is just a thing that they can do.
That was my immediate question was, well, you already said this, as I feel like I'm coming in on the second half of a two-parter. That's what this feels like. The first half ends with them going through a wormhole or something, and now they're back in time and they're stuck or whatever.
Yeah. Well, and okay, hang on. I got a nitpick here for a second because theoretically that's correct. If you exceed the speed of light, then you do theoretically travel backward in time. However,
Yeah.
this series itself has equated warp speed with faster than light travel.
That it has, yes, that it has.
So, okay, so remember that through line that we're going to do, that put a pin in it thing? There's a lot in this episode that doesn't make sense logically or Star Trek-ly that only exists in this episode for the reason that we will reveal at the end. And there's a lot of contrivance. And
Yup.
it's a little frustrating, not gonna lie.
So next question. So, wait, did they go back in time on purpose?
Yes.
Okay.
They have been sent on a mission to do historical research, which seems like a really dangerous thing to do.
Yeah. For reasons that become evident as this will.
If we're adhering to Back to the Future time travel logic, which at this time period we would be, because that's how it's been treated in the past on this show.
Yep.
Very dangerous thing to do. Because
Yep.
any number of things, the Enterprise could have driven by an asteroid and altered its course by a centimeter, and by the time it reaches Earth, it crashes into the center of the planet instead of going around it by 2 billion kilometers.
We had a fairly accurate space program in the 60s, so like.
Well, I said they were
okay,
using their deflectors to, which I mean that's theoretically possible. Like heck,
right.
stealth technology of the 1980s wouldn't have been detectable in the 1960s. Hence why it worked in the 80s.
That is true. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But yeah, and so the other thing, I'm watching this, and I just had a moment when Kirk's like, "We've traveled back in time to do historical research," and I'm like, "So we travel back to the past and we're watching it." So it just reminded me of that scene from Spaceballs when they're watching Spaceballs the movie in real time.
Try here. Stop. What the hell am I looking at? When does this happen in the movie?
Now. You're looking at now, sir. Everything that happens now is happening now.
What happened to then?
We passed then.
When?
Just now. We're at now.
Go back to then.
When?
Now.
Now?
Now.
I can't.
Why?
We missed it.
When?
Just now.
Yes. Yes, it did. Yes, there's a lot of that happening in this. A lot of moments like that.
I mean, they're oh man, it's this is a trip. And my original, you've seen the title for my original title for this episode before I got to the end of it, watching it, which is weird for me because I've seen all these episodes. I've seen every season of Star Trek, the original series, at least once completely, but there are episodes I don't remember, and this is one of them.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a minute. But my original title for this was going to be Assignment Stay Awake.
That's funny. That's funny.
Because
That's funny. That's
this
funny. That's funny.
this episode's a little boring, and there's a bit of a
Oh boy, is it?
there's a bit of a wink though, because he's got a little gadget that puts people to sleep, and it's kind of funny. The Enterprise intercepts a powerful transporter beam originating from at least 1,000 light years away. Before we get back into the story, I just have to point out, because the first look we have of Scotty this episode, he looks a bit of a mess. Scotty is having a very bad hair day, and it doesn't go away.
I mean, they all inevitably have a bad hair day in this
I know,
episode.
but Scotty looks like he did after he finished drinking the bottle of scotch.
He gets it first.
Yeah.
He gets it first. I don't know. It's arguable. I mean, we're gonna talk about Shatner's hair later.
I mean, my working theory is that Scotty is still hungover. from that episode.
I mean, it's believable. I mean, I would be too after having to be in this very dull episode that
I
I'm
mean,
barely
he's
in.
so hungover, he went from Scottish back to Canadian.
Right.
A man called Gary Seven, dressed in a 20th century business suit and accompanied by a black cat he calls Isis, materializes on board the Enterprise. So, another contrivance of this episode. How exactly does one intercept a transporter beam?
Science?
No, because the way I understand it, how transporter, because you have coordinates, right? It's a direct. Well, I guess maybe it's theoretically possible, but my point is, if this is a thing you can do, if you can intercept transporter beams, then it seems like during something, say like, I don't know, a war, beaming would be an extremely bad idea if you can just intercept transporter beams. But Star Trek in just about every series does so multiple times during armed conflicts, and it's like, if you could intercept the transporter beam in 2268, what are you doing during the Dominion War in the 2400s? Like, they would just intercept every transporter beam and then capture and execute everyone.
I mean, hey, I hear you. You're not wrong. Stop it. Don't think about it.
Well, this is also the only episode ever where this happens.
Fair enough.
And
See,
fair
we
enough
went-
for them. It seems like they can't explain it either.
Yeah, that's completely fair.
They're
It's
like,
so funny.
what happened?
We went drastically different directions here. See, my note when he appears is when the man appears, man, that sure is a sensible looking suit, but boy, he sure looks like a pussy. Hat.
Actually, I gotta say, the actor who plays Gary Seven is named Robert Lansing, and bravo, sir.
Okay, I have several. Okay, I don't want to give it away. I have several notes about the Gary Seven character. Don't you worry. We're gonna talk about them. We're gonna address them.
I just
one at
mean
a
that
time.
he instantly has screen presence.
Oh, for sure, for
Yeah.
sure.
One
For sure.
one
Yes, he does. That is yes. That is
one
in
one might say that this man could carry a series.
perhaps lead his own series. Yeah, I know.
Perhaps be a leading man in his own misadventures.
Yeah, no. Oh yeah, that was the next immediate note, which was I couldn't decide if naming your cat Isis is clever or not.
Probably in the 60s it was, but now it's not.
Now it's not, right? Yeah, it's post irony. We live in a post irony world.
Realizing that Captain Kirk and his crew are from the future, Seven warns Kirk that history will be changed if he is not released immediately. Having no proof of Seven's claim, Kirk has him held in the brig. I mean, Kirk's right, but this is a problem that could very easily be remedied. But before we get there, oh snap, the Vulcan nerve pinch didn't work. Oh crap, what are we going to do now?
Oh snap! I made a couple of wild guesses at who this guy was and what the heck was going on here. This is a point where I predicted that he was the man on the grassy knoll because there was a reference to the JFK assassination.
See, I actually would have liked, but here's the kicker. The man on the grassy knoll actually takes out another time traveler who was sent back to stop Lee Harvey Oswald. The gunman on the grassy knoll was supposed to shoot Lee Harvey Oswald because he was a time traveler. And then
That
Gary
sounds clever.
Seven. I mean, that's just, if you're gonna have fun with it.
God, that would make a great plot to an episode of perhaps another show.
Or
I don't.
perhaps there's a noteworthy civil rights leader who, you know, the world may or may not have been a better place had this man not been assassinated, and maybe someone with the charisma of this gentleman could do something about that.
I'm just saying. I'm just tossing that out there. Just tossing that right on out there. Wait, did we do the bit where the cat attacks yet?
Yes, yeah, that's where the Vulcan nerve pinch doesn't work.
Oh, okay. Why does that cat sound like a chimpanzee?
Put a pin in that one too.
Really? Okay. And
There
then,
is a reason.
in the subsequent, there's a scene where he's holding onto the cat the whole time, which I'm just saying with the reveal at the end of the episode makes that scene weird. But notice how Spock doesn't stop rubbing that pussy the whole scene. I promise that's the last one. It was too easy.
Oh
There's
no,
too many
it's
times.
not.
No, honestly, it is because it was there's so many times where it was like, this is too easy. It started to become easy. It's like
I had
shooting
an-
fish in a barrel.
I had a note that funny you mentioned fish because that comes up again too. I did notice that Spock is a cat guy.
Absolutely, he's a cat. He does absolutely strike me as a cat guy. An animal that you can occasionally feed and will mostly leave you alone. Perfect for Spock.
It's worth noting that Data has a cat.
He will need to be fed once a day. He prefers feline supplement number 25.
I understand.
And he will require water. And you must provide him with a sandbox. And you must talk to him. Tell him he is a pretty cat. And a good cat.
I will feed him.
Meanwhile, Spock searches the history database and finds the United States will launch an orbital nuclear weapons platform in a few hours. The outline is really glossing over some things. Like Kirk basically puts out an order that every department of science and engineering head chime into this meeting room with reports and theories, blah, blah, blah. And at one point, they buzz Chekhov, and the view of him is such that there would be no camera there. So I'm like, where's Chekhov's camera? Because the camera would literally be in the middle of the aisleway based on the angle where he is. Scotty's makes sense. Scotty's could be on a wall, right?
Yeah.
But Chekhov's is like a side profile shot, and it's just like, where's your camera, dude?
Right. That's so fun. Yeah, there's a lot of. I have questions. There's questions. I have questions.
What are they,
Cinematography
Justin?
in this episode. Why is the cinematography in this episode so weird? We're getting there. We're getting to those notes. Don't you worry.
So this is what you touched on before. So in addition to the launching of the orbital nuclear weapons platform, Spock also mentions some other key historical events that will happen in the near future of this 1968 Earth. He mentions a political assassination and a coup in Asia. At first, I thought, okay, no, none of this happened. Star Trek's, pulling from the well in the midst. However, just 6 days after this episode aired, Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated on April 4th, 1968.
Oh, that's Star Trek predicting stuff. See,
Oh.
I thought for sure it was a reference to the Kennedy assassination, but
That happened in 63. That was the thing that had already happened.
I didn't realize that it took what was 19. I think I missed the bit where they said it was 1968. So my brain was just vaguely 1960. So I think that's why I kept going to the Kennedy
No,
assassination.
Kirk literally says the year 1968, and I'm like, that's oddly specific.
That is oddly specific.
Well, Star Trek Deep Space Nine does it too when they go to the year 1994.
That's an odd year.
Well,
That's
but
an oddly
I think
specific
it was the year that it was airing. Might have been 93.
That makes sense.
At least Star Trek Enterprise, when they did their Earth time travel episode, they had the sense to go back to a historical day. They went back to 1944.
Yeah, see, that makes more sense. Like, don't try to be contemporary. It makes it feel weird.
It can be interesting. And to be fair, the original series, when it does time travel, it does a fairly good job of predicting.
Yeah, this really is the. Oh, I thought you were gonna say it does a pretty good job. I was gonna be like, yeah, really, this is the exception, not the norm.
Of predicting stuff, I mean. But also, here's another fun fact. On July 17th in 1968, there's a coup in Iraq, which ultimately leads to the Ba'ath Party coming to power and paving the way for Saddam Hussein's rise. Iraq is in a weird area. I guess technically it's not technically the Middle East, even though it's right there. It's technically Western Asia.
Technically, geographically speaking, yeah.
Technically.
You are technically correct. The best kind of correct.
And on the same day that Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, the United States launched the Apollo 6, which was an unmanned Saturn V test flight. It was not a nuclear weapons platform, but it was a major rocket launch and also suffered technical problems during the mission.
Okay. So this event that takes place in this episode is not a real event.
No. I don't believe any power ever actually. I don't think any. No. My next note I should have read. So, no power ever actually launched nuclear weapons into space because the main plot line of countries launching nuclear weapons into space had a real world parallel at the time. The major world powers pledged to use outer space for peaceful purposes in the Outer Space Treaty that became official on October 10th, 1967.
Yeah.
So, assuming that existed in this universe, the United States was technically violating that treaty, which would have been an act of war in and of itself, but we're gonna gloss over that.
We're gonna pretend that they wrote this episode before they knew that.
I mean, to be fair, they may have.
It's possible. It would have been contemporary to that period. Man, that's possible.
It only
these
happened.
things take time.
It happened not even a year before. This was literally months before, so they may not have known, or maybe they just didn't know the details.
Yeah,
That's perfectly plausible.
It's very plausible.
7, with the help of his pen-sized servo device, escapes and beams down to an office in Manhattan, emerging from a vault door hiding a teleporter. And he opens up that safe and he looks at that office. I'm like, this feels like a Mission Impossible set.
Yeah, yeah.
Just to clarify, I'm talking about the series from the 60s, not the Tom Cruise film franchise.
Yeah. It reminded me of a couple things. Number 1, the stop motion effect of the safe opening on its own. That was kind of cool. I like that.
That was pretty cool.
The effect of him walking out of the blue smoke or whatever out of the safe, that was kind of cool. I like how that looked. And it just said it was a very 1960s office. Look at all that delightful brown. And you don't watch Archer, but it really reminded me of Mallory's office in Archer, which is very pastiche of 1960s spy movies. And then just the next of the following, I might as well do this now. Just this has become an entirely different show. This character reminds me of Doctor Who. And then I just said, this is currently giving me real backdoor Violet energy.
I still maintain this feels like Mission Impossible, which you can also watch on Paramount Plus. Segue into our Paramount Plus spot, please.
Beautiful segue.
Segued. So, everybody, real talk. Come a little closer. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. There's so much to watch on Paramount Plus. It is literally a mountain of entertainment. Personally, just this week, I started re-watching Avatar: The Last Airbender. Well, I shouldn't say watching, more like actively, like passively listening to, because I have seen it before. I need something to listen to at work. And I've been inundated with YouTube videos of being like, remember how awesome this show was? And I'm like, yeah Iroh and Zuko in particular are really just where it. I know there's a lot of Toph love. Don't get me wrong, I don't dislike Toph, but like I was never like a big fanboy of Toph.
I mean, who doesn't love a good Dante Bosco character? Rufio!
Oh my god, that is Zuko's voice, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I hear it now. Solid.
Rufio?
But also, obviously we watch Star Trek every week on Paramount Plus. The point is, there are endless possibilities of things you can watch on Paramount Plus, and at an extremely low price. And a little birdie told me if you use our affiliate link in the description, you can get a free week trial, which you can actually, just full transparency and for legal reasons, you can totally do anyway. But we would ask that you use our link because it costs you nothing and costs Paramount a commission paid to us instead of to YouTube. So use that one and not that one. Addressing a voice-activated computer, Gary identifies himself as Supervisor 149, codenamed Gary 7, and inquires as to the whereabouts of 2 agents, 201 and 347, whom he learns have not been heard from in 3 days. So it's also worth noting that they also predicted in this episode sassy computers.
Well, yeah. Yes, it absolutely did. Absolutely did.
And I'm wondering if this is perhaps the inspiration, not for the look, because that was obviously Landrew, but perhaps the personality of Femputer.
I think so. Yeah.
Because I'm getting Femputer vibes, and what would have been absolutely hilarious. It's not. I looked. If B. Arthur had played this computer when she was younger in the 60s, that would have been delightful.
This character reminded me of Doctor Who, and the computer reminded me of, and you don't watch Doctor Who, so I'm about to make a bunch of Doctor Who references, but it reminded me of, there's a character called K9, which isn't like a computer, but it's like a little robot dog, and it does the short, like, affirmative, putting in information, kind of robot character. But the Doctor Who had a little sidekick that was like this. His bit, we'll get into it later, but his whole bit reminded me a lot of, again, I could see why you say Mission Impossible, but so much of this reminded me of Doctor Who.
I mean, it's not really, because I did look that, because I'm wondering if they used any sets from Mission Impossible, and no, they're just going for an aesthetic that was very common in 60s spy television, because like you got
Yeah.
Mission Impossible, even Doctor Who, which isn't sci-fi. I mean, it's sci-fi, not, but similar vibes. The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Shows like that were very prevalent.
I have a note later about, I guess this, but might as well, like a lot of what he uses is, it reminds me a lot of like like he's got on the little device that he uses to do that is, if you watch Doctor Who, that's just a sonic screwdriver. He keeps, I think it's because he's got different badges, but Doctor Who has a thing called psychic paper where it's just a blank piece of paper and he shows it and it's just an ID
It's
thing
what
that
it
it can,
needs to be.
that's whatever it needs to be. He's got a girl side character that's a companion that goes with him everywhere, which is what she is. Her outfit, by the way, when she shows
We
up,
haven't we
super
haven't
duper loud.
we haven't met her yet.
Oh, have we not met her yet? Oh, okay, never mind. Um,
If you don't know
when we
who she
eventually,
is, we'll get there shortly. Just like that
but
skirt.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of little things that he does. The fact that he's a time travel. Oh, that was the other thing. The fact that he's from another planet vaguely, and he's an alien. He seems to be an alien, but he's not an alien.
No,
And he's a time traveler.
he's a human. He establishes that, but he works for a group of aliens that basically, I'm going to say abduct, because that's what I mean. It seems like they get people to come willingly, but they
Yeah.
abduct people from Earth, train them, and then send them back to the past too. But he says he's from that time period too.
Oh, okay, interesting. I wasn't, because he's so cagey for a lot of this, so it was hard to determine whether or not that was him. Like he was just being mysterious.
The script called for Isis the cat to make this is where, okay, we're going to remove a pin. The script called for Isis the cat to make various cat sounds on cue, meows, purrs, growls, etc. But as we all know, a cat will not do what you want it to do just to spite you, because that's how cats do. But since finding the appropriate real cat sounds was problematic, the director discovered that Barbara Babcock, who was hired to voice the Beta 5 computer, could vocalize convincing cat sounds.
No, she can't. See, I thought it was stock animal noises. I didn't even realize it was a person doing it.
Yeah, it's literally I mean, purring's not hard.
No, but there was the point where it was yowling, where it didn't sound
Yeah.
cat-like at all.
Actually, you know who has a really good cat sound effect?
Who?
Believe it or not, Joe Rogan.
You ever try to hold your cat in a room with a hamster, your cat starts going, wow, 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 wow.
Seven decides to complete their mission himself. A young woman arrives, whom Seven mistakes for Agent 201, but who is actually Roberta Lincoln, a secretary employed by the missing agents. You said her outfit was loud. I said her outfit is giving Austin Powers energy.
Yes, yes, it is. I just enjoyed the fact that she took the time and effort to coordinate her purse with her outfit. So it's all color coordinated. It's all orange and blue, for better or worse.
It is, and the actress who plays her, Terry Garr, had such an unpleasant time filming this episode, she refused to ever talk about Star Trek again, although she did do an interview with Starlog magazine many years later, in which she was very disparaging of both the show and its fans. One reason was Gene Roddenberry's frequent clashes with the costume designers over the length of Roberta's skirt. Roddenberry apparently wanted it shortened to the extent that Miss Gar's underwear is glimpsed on occasions.
Yikes!
Red flags here.
Welcome to Red Flag City.
Which also doesn't make sense because she's clearly wearing tights.
Right?
Well, and Gene, I don't know if you know this, but tights go all the way up.
They tend to cover that sort of thing. When she popped up after a period of time, you kind of watched Friends, right? You didn't really watch it.
I'm familiar with it.
She's the actress who plays Phoebe's biological mother on Friends. Hit me like a
Wait,
bolt of
wait,
lightning.
wait. Phoebe's mother's dead.
Yeah, later in the show, it turns out that her actual biological mother is another woman whose name is Phoebe Buffet, and her mom and her dad were like the best of friends, and she's Phoebe's actual mom. And she is played by this woman. So just you're gonna sense a theme in the next few scenes of a great deal of this episode is devoted to this random character, and then the next somewhere out there's a pilot script for Gary 7, and then just seriously, this is a completely different show.
Yeah, it's almost like it's almost as though this plot was spinning off from where it initially
was
was thought
certainly it's coming through the back door,
to be. Ew.
and there's a pilot, backdoor pilot.
That sounds
Did they have
dirty.
ba- did they did they have backdoor pilots in the 60s? Was that a thing?
Do you mean backseat pilot?
No, have you never heard of that? You don't.
No.
Have you never heard of backdoor pilot is like an episode of a television show.
Oh,
That
yeah, 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 yeah,
is,
yeah, 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 yeah.
I was gonna say you're a television guy.
I was gonna say,
You're a
yeah,
nerd,
I don't
you
know.
should
I don't know. I don't know where my brain went. I was too busy trying to figure out what show I was watching.
This feels like it's a backdoor pilot for a spinoff.
I mean, it technically isn't, but
Really?
that's because
Really?
that's it technically isn't. It technically isn't. But we'll get that.
Okay.
That's our final reveal.
Giving away the reveal, the end of the
Not
reveal,
really,
like,
because it's not exactly because okay, like to say it's a spinoff is not accurate because it's not a spinoff. But anyway, Seven then tells Roberta he's a CIA agent and appealing to her patriotism, which was so weak. Like she's like, yeah, I totally like my country too, man, even though I'm dressed like the quintessential flower child who would tell the president to get bent. But you know, that's
she has kind of I would characterize as a left leaning line there somewhere about. I can't remember exactly what she says, but it's something about it's something that made me go. Every generation has a sense of ennui. I can't remember what she says.
was
but
it was
something
it
that
was it where she said it's like that's why so many people in my generation are like, what did they call them? What did she call them? Wild children or something? Because like we don't know if
Some
we're
to that
gonna
effect.
because we don't know if we're gonna be alive tomorrow. And actually,
Yeah.
that line was a bit of a revelation for me because I've always kind of criticized the hippies, bro.
Yeah.
That put it in perspective for me. Honestly, I kind of get it.
Well, I mean, it was. I love watching old like this because it makes you go like, oh, we all experience that same existential dread at a period. It's not really unique. It's just unique. It's only unique in the sense that it fits. It fits to that gener. Well, I guess maybe not the whole, but certainly she did.
Certainly aspects of it, and I mean,
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah, hey, fair. Well, I mean, you're in the middle of the Cold War. You're post World War II. Like,
You're at the height of the Cold War.
yeah. So like, I get it. I totally get it. It's just
Yeah,
surprising to see it from
tensions
Star
were
Trek.
fine. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, not. It's funny because we always remind people it's like you have to put yourself in the time period of people who would have viewed the show for the first time.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
that's a
That's
sentiment that honestly I can understand. So I give the hippies some grace now. Because it's
Yeah,
real
yeah.
easy to criticize people 30, 40, 50 years later.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
got to be living in in the time. You have to put yourself in the time they were living with the information they had. Like we know there was never a nuclear war between the Soviet Union and the United States, but at that point,
You don't know.
it was a
Yeah.
foregone conclusion. And this is post Cuban Missile Crisis, so they came very close.
Yep. Yeah. That's exactly it. Yeah.
Seven asks her to remain and assist him, appealing to her patriotism. The computer eventually discovers that agents 201 and 347 have died in an automobile accident.
But is it that's where I got confused because his mission, which is to prevent, but then again, once you say that it's not a real event, I'm like, oh, okay. But I thought his thing was like Doctor Who. You go to a significant or maybe another show, Timeless, where it's like you have to go to this significant historical event and either cause it or try to stop them and allow it to happen or not allow it to happen. Like that seemed like that's within the context of whatever his show was. That seems like that's what his job was.
Yeah,
Like,
which doesn't make sense because theoretically you're trying to preserve the timeline. So you would be you'd have to, for a show like that to work, you'd have to set up some kind of malevolent force that comes back in time to change the future.
Yeah, which in the case of Timeless is a terrorist who's using a time. Anyway.
Well, also Star Trek Enterprise, the temporal Cold War.
Yeah. Oh, I mean Doctor Who, the Time War.
Wait,
But
are you saying they did the Time War again?
they did the Time War again. Yeah. Funny. There's a parody of Doctor Who where they do the Time Warp.
It's just a jump to the left and you step on a butterfly.
Yep, pretty well. So, but also the other reason why I realized I thought he was a time traveler is he pegs them as being from the future immediately. So that's why I'm like, so he's
Yeah,
clearly
so
familiar with the concept of time travel.
I think what he does. Okay, so he is a time traveler, but he's from that time originally. But the aliens took him from that time, trained him, and now they can send him to
Back in
periods in time
time.
because he knows what a Vulcan is. So he's at least
Yeah.
familiar with the Federation.
Yeah, that's also valid. Yeah, that's also true. Yeah, yeah, because he was giving me like he goes back in time. Again, I'm picturing in my brain. I'm like, what is this show that I'm that the Star Trek characters are guest starring on? And I'm like, it just seems like he goes,
It
he
really
finds
does.
we're gonna come back to it. But he seems like he arrives at an event and he either again, yeah, he either prevents a historical event from happening or causes it to happen. That kind of seems like that's what his role was here. Was he was supposed to like have the prevent this significant event from happening. But I maybe again, I could be misreading this. That's always possible.
It seems like he needs to go back to make sure that the thing doesn't become operational. But
Right?
that without some kind of outside force changing the past, it doesn't make sense why he's there unless you get a temporal paradox, in which case, in order for the past to happen, someone from the future has to go back and change the past in order to
Right?
fulfill the. Which I mean, there's a little bit of Back to the Future logic there.
Yep. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. He was confusing. He feels like he would have been fleshed out maybe in his own series.
Yeah, at least a season or two. Like I feel like
Right?
with more information, he might have had a good run with his mission. But we also see another correct prediction: voice dictation, albeit with a typewriter in this episode and not a computer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that
That
is
is
true.
something that took surprisingly long to get right, and I totally understand. I remember, dude. I remember.
Oh, for sure.
I think it was like the year 2000, 2005 or six. I got my first voice dictation software, Dragon software, and it was awful. You had a special microphone that you had to use, and you had to download the software, and it still sucked.
I said forts, not farts.
Kirk and Spock track Seven to his office. Roberta stalls them while Seven and his cat enter the vault and are teleported away, arriving at McKinley Rocket Base. I'm going to give this episode a pass because I understand it's the 1960s and they had limited use of this footage, but they broke my cardinal rule of editing. Did they use a still image of the damn rocket? Yes, they did.
Did they actually?
And passed it off. They used a photo and passed it off as video. But
I
the
have.
reason they did that is because this episode features one of the first uses of stock footage of the first test launch of the Saturn V moon rocket from November of 1967. So they probably had limited use and didn't want to repeat a shot.
Okay, I did have a note of that later. Is this? I wasn't sure if it was a model that like they're using model
Nope,
work, model footage, or if it was B-roll. So it's
that's
B-roll.
real stock footage of the Saturn V.
That makes sense.
So
Okay, 'cause it
that's
looks.
pretty cool. That's pretty cool because you got to
It,
remember that that's less than a year ago, and the United States government is allowing
yeah,
them to use this footage for a network television show. That's pretty
it
cool.
it looked expensive. Like I was like, this looks expensive, but it doesn't look CGI replaced. It
It
looks like
looked like that was really good footage. I mean,
yeah,
obviously, it's
yeah,
probably been cleaned up in the restored version, but still,
sure. It's still, it didn't look CGI.
that's good
It looked
film they used,
practical.
Ratcher.
Right, right.
Yeah, it was practical. They
Um,
shot on location.
yeah,
Which incidentally, that's my favorite. It's a Neil deGrasse Tyson joke, but it's my favorite joke about the moon landing. He's like, "Yeah, you're right. They did stage the moon landing. So they went to Hollywood, and they got all the best film directors and special effects people to figure out how they could convincingly shoot a fake moon landing. And they came back to NASA and said, guys, this is going to be way too expensive. With the rocks and the lighting and all that, we're going to have to shoot it on location."
I love that. Yeah, that's a solid joke. When he shot the phaser, the sound effect sounded an awful lot like a TIE fighter, which made me go, I wonder if the first Star Wars movie used a lot of royalty-free sound effects.
I don't
Because
believe they did, actually. I think a lot of those
really,
sounds were created in-house by Skywalker Sound.
oh no kidding, it sure as heck sounded like a TIE fighter, but I'm like, this is well before that, so there's no way it can.
Another fun note, Gary Seven's computer display is the same one used for Dr. Daystrom's M5 computer in the Ultimate Computer and will be used again by Mr. Ataz, the librarian, in the Season 3 episode, All Our Yesterdays. So we will see it again. I told you that computer was sassy.
It's a very sassy computer. I mean, hey, when you got yourself a good sassy computer, you want
What
to use
else do
that
you
sassy
need?
computer. Exactly.
Seven gains access to the gantry and climbs onto an access arm to begin rewiring some circuits of the soon-to-launch rocket. While at the launch base, Seven shows his ID to the security person. He shows an ID from the National Security Agency. The NSA was one of the worst kept government secrets in history, but was not publicly acknowledged until 25 years after this episode originally aired.
Wait,
And
actually?
I was wondering about that too because I thought for some reason in my mind I was thinking like isn't the NSA relatively new? It wasn't, but in terms of it being publicly acknowledged, that is relatively.
So what you're saying is the NSA existed in 1968, but it was a top secret organization.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
One that people knew existed.
Like an open secret kind of deal.
Well, people found out and then they couldn't do anything about it. So it was like the government being like, no, that doesn't exist. So now that makes me believe in Area 51.
Well, I mean, yeah.
After
Yeah,
learning that
Area
track
51.
record, I'm kind of like, well, okay, now there's obviously aliens there. And
There's
plus, Brent
clearly
Spiner
aliens.
played a scientist that one time who
He did.
dissected them.
Guess you'd like to see the big tamale, huh? Follow me.
Also, I mean, they keep saying that they're going to announce the aliens as a means to
and,
distract,
then they never do.
and then they never.
They're
do.
like, no, they're definitely out there. What do
There's
they
a
look
lot of-
like? We don't know.
My favorite was you could tell that aliens are real because Obama went, yeah, no, the aliens are definitely real, and Trump went, I don't think you're allowed to say that. Well, way to go, Don. At 40 years, and you just blew the secret in one afternoon.
And also, that poor security guy's going to lose his job now, and it's not even his fault. Poor man's just trying to keep people from going in and gumming up the launch, and then you've got all your future tech that makes people take naps, and that's just...
Right.
And it was at this point where I asked myself, is that cat supposed to be an alien? Because so far, it's just acting like a cat. When Kirk and Spock pursue Seven at McKinley Rocket Base, they are immediately detained by police. I don't know what the big deal is. Spock is obviously there to go fishing.
Okay, that's so funny. You're referencing the bucket hat, right? Okay, so
I mean,
I
they
have
are
no-
in Florida. I'm just putting it out there.
Well, see, it's funny you mentioned that because I have a note that says, I know this is supposed to be a tense moment, but Spock is all the way on Gilligan's Island, which would have been a contemporary reference in the 1960s.
It would have. It makes you want to just...
He
That's
does-
a crossover episode I'd like to see.
I'm just saying he looks like he could be related to Bob Denver. That's all I'm saying.
On the Enterprise, Scotty locates Seven and initiates beaming him up to the ship. At the same moment, in Seven's office, Roberta is experimenting with the vault controls. Experimenting's a strong word. I would prefer fiddling.
So, like, is she not? She was so confusing. Does she not know that there's a weird alien spy agency in her office? Like, what is her deal?
I would say she knows there's something fishy going on, but she doesn't live near the ocean.
Like, she's the secondary character.
Even though she does, because they're in Manhattan. So
Because, like, all those shows from that era, yeah, there was a main lead guy, and then there was a female sidekick, and she's the female sidekick of his show. Like, she's the second lead of
the
that
female
show,
sidekick of his
definitely.
show that doesn't exist.
Right, exactly. So I'm like, what is her deal? Like, she worked with the guys who seemingly died, who ran the agency and put all the technology in there, but she doesn't know the technology exists. It's really confusing. Their
19
dynamic is
Justin,
really
it's-
confusing.
Justin, it's 1968.
God, you're right. It is 1968.
But Roberta is fumbling with the vault controls and inadvertently intercepts Scotty's transporter beam, bringing Seven to the office. Wow, that was lucky. But you know what else is lucky, Justin? The fact that you're watching this episode right now, and our friends at Muggle Minerals and More have one thing, if not more things. I just dropped it. That was stupid. One thing, if not more things. So this is one of their card kits. And what this is a little bag, and it comes with, I believe, five stones. And the logic is you put them in your car. So we've got, it even tells you where to put them. So you've got, in this one, you got some selenite under the passenger seat to cleanse vibes of the passenger.
Oh, neat.
And selenite is actually a really pretty stone. It kind of looks like a cloudy you can see it reflects light really well. So it has a real woo. And then let's see, we've also got clear quartz that you put in the center console to surround the car in good energy. So That's a thing. And then let's see what else we got. Black tourmaline under the driver's seat to keep you safe. And I'm going to tell you, 2 people died in a car accident in this episode. So maybe if they had some black tourmaline, they would still be alive and been able to do their mission. And Gary 7 wouldn't have gone in and, clean up their shit.
True. It's true. Yeah.
And then Tiger Eye, which you can put anywhere for overall protection for you and your car. Again, both of them died in a car accident. You need the eye of the tiger, especially if you're going to fight a Russian.
I'm just gonna say if they had one of these bags, they'd probably be okay.
And then a bit of amethyst, which amethyst is just a pretty stone in and of itself. You put this in the glove box to promote safe travels again. So all of this theoretically could have prevented those agents from dying in that horrific car crash. And
they just look cool.
Yeah, and they just look cool. What's really cool about these, because there's a lot of people that believe in, like sort of crystal mysticism, not mythicism, mysticism. And I'm not going to lie, I don't know. But the one thing I do know is that all of them are one of a kind, real, 100% natural stones, and they all look awesome. And this little card pack is only $5.
That's so reasonably priced.
Only $5. A lot of these similar packs with fewer stones sell for like $20. That's because Muggle Minerals and More believes that you shouldn't have to pay premium prices for semi-precious stones. So check out their link in the description, and you can get more information. Although they do have some precious stones that are quite affordable as well. But back to our 7. Gary 7 must have a bag of protection because he was hanging off the side of a rocket and he's still alive.
I mean, yeah. He was. Again, I can't keep saying it. It's just once again, it felt like a completely different show. Like that's just the thing I'm gonna keep coming back to this episode where I felt like I was watching a different show. I'm like, what? Kirk and Spock just occasionally appear like, hey, we're here too.
And that is very much what it feels like. But 7 takes control of the rocket remotely, arming its warhead and sending it off course. McKinley base controllers frantically try to regain control and, failing that, send a self-destruct command to the missile without success. After a failed attempt to call the police, Roberta hits 7 with a heavy cigar box, which looked like a gift box, which I thought was quite funny. It didn't look heavy at all. It looked like a piece of cardboard. And seizes the servo. 7 pleads with her to allow him to proceed, or in 6 minutes, World War III begins. Kirk and Spock beam to 7's office, and Gary pleads with Kirk to let him complete his plan, which is to destroy the missile at a low enough altitude to deter the use of such orbital platforms in the future. Kirk tells Spock that if he can't destroy the rocket, he will have to trust Gary 7. Spock replies that without facts, the decision cannot be made logically. Kirk decides to trust 7, who, with only seconds to spare, safely detonates the warhead at an altitude of 104 miles. So another contrivance of this episode. If you're dealing with a historical event that this person alleges will not change, Spock looked in the history archives. Would he not have seen? Like, if Gary 7's assertion is that he is there to keep history from changing, then you check his story by looking at whether or not that rocket launches on that date. And what happens.
Whether or not that close fall happened. Because that would be a close call, right?
It's like the United States launching a rocket into space wouldn't exactly have been classified. And even if it had been, in 2268, it would have been a known event.
Certainly by then it would have been declassified.
Also, if you need to destroy the rocket, why doesn't the Enterprise just shoot the damn thing?
It's funny. I thought Spock was going to come in and save the day, so my note is just Deus Ex Machina.
Well, speaking of Deus Ex Machina, this is in the 1960s. Where's Superman?
That's a valid point. Where is Superman? Or he's not. Why is he not flying around the Earth, turning back time?
That's how the Enterprise got there.
Exactly.
And Cher. Cher tried to turn back time, but she couldn't find a way. In the epilogue, Spock and Kirk explained to 7 that the Enterprise was meant to be part of the day's events. They didn't really do anything.
What did they?
If anything, they were a hindrance.
Oh yeah, if anything, you got in the way and you prevented him
Yeah,
from doing his job.
you kind of like almost stopped it from happening, but
He was there, and then you kidnapped him and prevented, and also his young hot female sidekick. Also, did you notice that both Gary Seven and Kirk have similar taste in women?
I don't know that neither one of them was really all that romantically attracted, or at least not.
I mean, come on. After 3 seasons, you don't think Gary Seven and the young hot blonde are gonna there's gonna be some bit of sexual tension?
But there weren't 3 seasons.
No, in the hypothetical world where this became a television show.
Hypothetically, but there was none, so we'll never know. But they come to this conclusion by citing the historical records after the fact.
So wait, but if there's historical records of them being there for this event, then when Spock looked at the one, they have known that they were going to be part of the event, and then they would have not.
Everything that happens now is happening now.
Oh, I've gone cross-eyed.
But you see, Justin, then there wouldn't have been that spin-off potential.
Oh, that is true.
Gary Seven is curious to know more, but Spock reveals only that he and Roberta will have an interesting future and many adventures. This episode, if you haven't put it together yet, was written as a standalone half-hour television series with no network. I'm sorry, when no network chose to order the pilot, the script was reworked to fit into Star Trek as a backdoor pilot for the proposed Assignment Earth series. The spinoff was a series that was never produced because Gene Roddenberry planned the spinoff because he was under the impression that Star Trek was going to be canceled after the second season, but when it got renewed, they didn't go ahead with Assignment Earth as a series.
So, okay, Jake, to answer the question you asked at the beginning of this, I've never watched this before, and it was immediately obvious it was a spinoff. Just immediately,
Certainly by the time you get to the office, it's become pretty clear because there's a secretary that's introduced for no reason other than the fact that she's going to be his partner in a recurring series. Now, here's where I'm going to plant the seed because I want to be able to say I told you so. So, it's pretty clear that they're at least going to revisit the timeline of the original series. If it's not in Strange New Worlds, it's going to be another series. You have your chance to make Assignment Earth. Just redo this episode.
Also, you want to talk about things that are arbitrary and have no reason. The fact that the cat is a woman at the end and is clearly a romantic rival for the blonde-haired girl. Just out of nowhere, she's a woman who's a cat woman. You're like, what is happening? And then no one addresses it, and then the episode ends. That's weird.
Yeah, but you may be asking yourself, do we ever see Gary Seven again?
I'm going to say no.
In the show, no, but Gary and Roberta appear in Star Trek novels such as Assignment Eternity, published in 1997 by Greg Cox, in Star Trek The Eugenics Wars, The Rise and Fall of Khan Noonien Singh, published in 2001, also by Greg Cox, and From History's Shadow, published in 2013 by Dayton Ward, in the short story 7 and 7 by Kevin Hosey, and Star Trek Strange New Worlds Volume 6, published in 2003. Interesting that came out before the series, also named Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Gary Seven teams up with 7 of 9 from Star Trek Voyager.
Of course, the two Seven characters with 7 in their name have to do a big team up. That totally makes... You know what's really funny? It's funny you say that because 7 of 9 did pop into my head when I was watching this for some reason. I didn't think they had any connection, but for some reason I made that connection in my brain.
Well, so apparently we do see Gary Seven again, just not until Voyager.
Interesting.
I wonder if we get the same actor. That'd be interesting.
That would be interesting. So that's interesting. So what you're saying is this wasn't written with the idea that they would take this and spin this off. This was a spin-off idea that he had that was retrofitted to be a very boring and dull episode of Star Trek.
No, this was an original series idea he had, which then was reworked as a co-episode with Star Trek to act as a backdoor spinoff, and then the series just never got produced.
Got it. So nobody picked it up from the backdoor pilot.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Well, nobody picked it up from the original idea
and
from the backdoor pilot.
From the backdoor pilot. Oh, gotcha. I mean, That surprises me. I was like,
I know, because I'm not gonna lie, I saw how this could have been potentially very popular.
yeah, it's so see, there's a lot of times, Jake, we're on the same page. Because yes, I agree. There was moments in this where I'm like, this is not Star Trek, and I hate it on that basis. But like, I would watch a series of this.
Like
Like,
this
I
seems
would,
interesting, and like I
yeah,
said, Gary Seven's got presence.
right. I would watch him go and like attempt to solve, but I just it needs refining. It needs
For
refining.
sure, but I mean, for a show from the '60s, because I mean, honestly, how refined is the Mission Impossible series?
Yeah, well, I just more mean in its premise. Its premise is confused as to what his mission actually is. That's my biggest
Well, that's
criticism
just
of
it.
this.
So the best comparison I can maybe come up with is: are you familiar with the show Early Edition?
No,
You'd like
maybe I don't.
it's really very much a product of the '90s that you couldn't make today because nobody reads newspapers anymore. The premise is that Kyle Chandler gets tomorrow's paper today.
Gary Hobson was an ordinary man until an extraordinary gift came to his door.
What are you talking about here? A newspaper that tells the future?
And it will change his life.
You took the paper. You went to a betting parlor. You won money, and then you gave it away.
He'll find what it means to be a hero.
Anything can happen.
Early Edition premieres Saturday, September 28th.
And so
Okay.
he goes to prevent bad things from happening to good people.
Ah,
It's a show that's much better than it has any right to be.
interesting.
And it's basically because Kyle Chandler is charming as hell and hasn't aged until today.
I mean, it's true. And even then,
Not much.
not much. But yeah, it's just my like if I were to make this into a show in the because this is right. You're right. It's 1960s spy show. But I just think like the premise: is he a time traveler? Is he not a time traveler? Is he an alien? Is he not an alien? Is he from an alien planet? What is his? I guess his origin. There's just details that needed. If before I would put that to series, but I would watch a whole series of that.
I would.
Of him.
I'm not gonna lie. I would at least give this a shot.
He has more charisma than your typical guest star because you could tell they want him to be the lead of something, and
Well,
it comes across.
Funny you mentioned that because I read this. I didn't have it in my notes, but he's the only time a Star Trek guest star is given. It's not top billing, but it's the only time a guest star is given credit before the writing credits in the
Really?
intro.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Which is, I mean,
Interesting.
it's setting this up to be a big deal.
Yeah,
Because
for sure.
it was supposed to be.
Yeah, they thought it was gonna be something because like that's my biggest thing is like as an episode of Star Trek, it's bad because
It's so bad. It's real bad.
your main characters are barely in it. They're barely in it, and they barely interact with him.
Literally
or do
the
anything
only
with him.
literally the only other than the fact that I knew I had to finish it to do this show, but the only thing that kept me quasi interested was trying to figure out more about Gary Seven.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was like, I was so fascinated by him, but I'm like, yeah, you've got Kirk taking the time to do his hair, and like they're in regular like Earth people clothes, and they're wandering around, and they're not doing anything. I had a note in there that was like Kirk and Spock haven't done anything this entire episode, and they're the lead characters of this show. So like, yeah,
I get the sense that William Shatner was not happy during the production of this episode.
Absolutely. But yeah, as setup for another show, it's not even that great because it doesn't. By the end of it, doesn't explain him or what his deal is or anything. So like, it doesn't even succeed on that merit. I just my first thought was when I saw Gene Roddenberry wrote it, I once again went,
Oh
"This is
crap!
not." Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is not going to be good. This is not going to be good. And
This
as a
is gonna
final
be
episode,
problematic.
right? Well, as a final episode of the year too, it just kind of feels like a
Yeah, it does kind of feel like a putter. But
yeah.
I gotta say, the last episode of season one, while I didn't love it, it was tremendously better than this.
Yeah, this is a mid season like slump. We're not sure we're coming back next year. We need to set something up. This feels like it belongs in the middle of the season, not the end of the
It
season.
really does. And also, interesting fact, the last episode of season one and also the last episode of season two have colons in their titles.
Really?
Well, because
Huh.
Operation Annihilate and Assignment Earth.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's true. That's a good point. Weird coincidence.
Odd. Very odd.
Odd.
Very odd.
Very
Interesting
odd. But
coincidence. No,
that is-
season three's title does not have a colon in it.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Yeah, Man, so is the final episode of season 3.
I was gonna say that just sounds like it's right up there with season 3 generally. Very
Oh
disappointing.
no,
Is
there's some highlights and some that are just so ridiculous that they're fun. But
I want to know I'm still so fascinated about the one with Abraham Lincoln in it somehow.
I actually like that episode. I'm not gonna lie. It doesn't make sense, absolutely not. But
I saw a clip of it and I was like, I don't this. I have
I
questions.
have so many questions. It's not as it actually does a better job of explaining itself than the Constitution episode.
Really? I mean, that's
Yeah,
not
because
difficult,
spoiler alert, it's not actually Abraham Lincoln.
No, I figured it wasn't.
But
Good pick.
so that is assignment Earth that never was to be. Although I still there's a chance they could make it.
They could do it. If someone in the Star Trek offices is a real big fan of Gary Seven,
Somebody is somewhere.
I
But
just know it. Make it with a sexy, handsome lead. Make him like just a traditionally handsome, square-jawed man, and have him be a spy. I'm sure you can
now,
sell that to
unfortunately,
somebody.
Anson Mount is already playing Captain Pike, so he can't do it.
And Glenn Howard? No, not Glenn Howard.
Glenn
Oh,
Powell?
Glenn Powell is already
Nah,
busy.
he's too big of a deal.
But I mean, you think you couldn't get him for like a 6 episode
No.
streaming series for like a bajillion dollars?
No, plus he's funny. You know who could do it if they wouldn't
True.
because he's too big. Miles Teller.
Oh yeah, he would be good.
I've come to really respect him as an actor, and I used to not be able to stand him, but he's just been in so much good stuff.
It's weird that coincidence you said that because I watched 21 and Over this morning. Is that just for the show? So that's just a weird coincidence that you mentioned that. But yeah, I like him. I really like Whiplash. Like,
Okay,
that movie is really
you know
good.
who I'd get? Real talk, Chris O'Donnell, because
I could see it.
like he's a big enough name to draw some attention, but he's not. I know he's done stuff on TV, but like he hasn't done any real movies of note since his career was killed in Batman and Robin.
Yeah, it's true. I don't know. See, the thing is, the guy who's playing him in this, he's so 1960s. Like he's got that 1960s leading man energy. So I'm like, what is the 2026 equivalent?
You know,
to
John Hamm
1960s?
could do it, but he's too big now.
He's a little too. Huh? Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
You know, actually, real talk. You know who I'd want to get, and who would probably do it just on the sheer absurdity of the premise. Let's get Daniel Radcliffe.
I mean,
He did Miracle
say-
Workers, man.
I'm gonna say yes to. I just think they should let him do a Star Trek show.
Oh,
Just generally.
yes.
Let him be a star. Let him be a starship captain. Like just let him do it.
Could you imagine the Orville level of comedy and drama gold we could have if Daniel Radcliffe was our captain?
I'm just saying. I mean, again, my dream though is always going to be. I still want it. I still want a Rock and Daniel Radcliffe action movie where Daniel Radcliffe does all the action and The Rock is the straight man. He does no action. That'd be fun.
Dude, I want this so bad. I want it so bad.
I just think it would be funny.
Our second season ends with 24 dead red shirts as a cumulative, not in season 2, but as a cumulative number. But none in this episode because Gary Seven accomplishes his mission cleanly.
I was gonna say I was really hoping for at least one red shirt death to close it out, but most of that 24 is from this season. To be fair,
This is true. It's at least doubled. Actually, I think it's more than doubled.
there was a couple episodes that were bloody massacres, man.
4 and 5 deaths in one.
Just saying.
But speaking of, since we have reached the end of season 2, that means next week's episode is going to be our traditional season 2 finale live episode. So you'll definitely want to join us for that. We're gonna do a few different things. We're gonna discuss our favorite episodes of season 2, our dogs of season 2. We're gonna go over historically what the most popular episodes are, what the worst ones. Will join us next time, and then I can already say season 3 is going to be premiering on Star Trek, or the week of Star Trek Day, because I don't know what day it falls upon, to celebrate the 60th anniversary of Star Trek.
Yeah.
It gives us a little break, but not really, because we're gonna start hammering record pretty early on those to get enough in the catalog to make sure we hit deadlines. because I know y'all hate waiting, and I do apologize. We're going to do our best, because after we're done with the original series, we're going to go right into the animated series, and I don't know exactly how yet, but we will be tunified.
You wouldn't want us to put it out faster and put out a lesser quality product.
Exactly, because we could be a lot less funny.
It's true. I mean, I can't, but
It's not possible for me because I'm hilarious, but
I am objectively hilarious.
Oh, well, join us next week for the end of season 2 live special, and until then, watch long and prosper.